So the Ravens easily over the Dolphins, who were just awful last night, and we'll talk about them a little later. But we showed you that the ESPN Bet Sportsbook loves the Ravens in the division. Our analytics like the Ravens. I don't know that they love them. This is sort of, I mean, I'm not sure they're ready to marry them, but they like them at least. They're willing to go out on another date with them. And as you pointed out, that is largely because people aren't buying into the Steelers. You gave me a very good phrase this morning, Bart, for what most people think of Pittsburgh.
They're paper champions, right? They haven't played a lot of hard opponents. And listen, the way their defense is playing, they can't beat anybody that can punch back, right? And you look at last week, giving up 360 yards to Jordan Love. They can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. This is supposed to be this is the most expensive defense in the NFL, and you're 28th in the league. So I think that they still have to play the Ravens twice later in the season.
Right.
And they have a real viable opponent in front of them this week. Maybe the best slept on and the most slept on, opponent in the AFC in the Colts.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. I want to talk about the Colts. I made this point yesterday because they haven't played, largely because I think, A, the world didn't see them coming.
Yep.
B, because of the way their schedule has shaped up. They're never in the big glamour spots, right? They're not in that 425 window. They haven't been in prime time. So I don't think the world knows them. So you might be surprised to hear this. Cindy, let's do C6. The Colts' average cover margin is 10.8 points per game. Let me make it clear. That's not what the point spread is. That's how much they are surpassing in their wins what the number was. It is the best through 8 games in the entire Super Bowl era. Look at the teams below them. The 99 Rams, the greatest show on turf, who no one saw coming.
Right.
The 2019 Ravens, when Lamar went insane, no one saw coming. Joe, this team has been this is terrible English, even more better than we thought they were going to be.
Shout out Northwestern.
Right, than they were. So what does that mean? You are the gambling expert. What does it mean?
Every team is assigned a power ranking. That's how we create spreads. If Bart's power ranking is an 80 and Harry's a 78, Bart -2 against Harry. You take in home field and all that other stuff, but essentially that's how you create a number. The power rating for the Colts coming into the season was obviously low based on what we've seen from them so far. The adjustments throughout the course of the year haven't necessarily kept up. To use a college analogy, back in 2019, something similar happened with LSU and Joe Burrow. The number just couldn't get high enough as the Tigers just kept blowing everyone out. Clemson, Georgia, Oklahoma, when we got to the playoffs. The thing here is, when does the market correct itself? That's what you want to be on the lookout for, and it's going to come soon, because as good as the Colts have looked, they've beaten up on who? Tennessee twice. The Denver game was a leverage penalty. They caught the Chargers when they were banged up. It's not to take anything away from the Colts, but that defense is vulnerable. They're going to get exposed at some point. The reckoning's coming. It just hasn't come yet.
I think to Joe's point, there's skepticism because they're the Scott Hansen special. What does that mean? You watch them on Red Zone.
Right.
There's 8 different games at 1 o'clock. You
Correct.
get a cool play. No one has watched them wire to wire. If you are watching them, I think the similarities to the 99 Rams aren't that far off. Yeah. They have all these weapons. They came from out of nowhere, and Daniel Jones has a Kurt Warner-like story where no one would have ever expected this. Now the schedule gets a little tougher. Now they're not sneaking up on anybody. We'll see if they're for real.
Here's the wins, Harry, as I give it to you. They beat the Dolphins. They won the Denver game on that leverage penalty. They beat the Titans. They lost to the Rams. They beat the Raiders, the Cardinals, the Chargers, the Titans again, and now they get the Steelers.
And I think they're going to be okay because they are the most balanced football team that we have in the National Football League. They can run it, they can pass it, and I think their most prized possession outside of Jonathan Taylor is their rookie tight end, Tyler Warren.
He's so
25 of 37 catches that he has right now have been for first downs. He's their leading receiver when you talk about yardage. He's a guy that can play H-back. He can play fullback. He can, extend in the slot. He can be attached to the line of scrimmage. He can be a single receiver or single tight end on the opposite side of a 3-by-1 formation. He is the jack of all trades, and he's making his hay in this offense.
But you like the Steelers with the points in this game.
Buy low, sell high. No one wants anything to do with Pittsburgh. Everyone's in love with Indianapolis. Tough road spot here. Mike Tomlin as a dog has been successful throughout his career, although that blew up in our face last week. Look at this. This is a smaller bet. Let's be very clear about that.
All right, I like the game. And once again, it's a 1 o'clock Scott Hansen
Hansen special.
To the point that he's making. All right, let's do the Schrager 5.
Go to the
every week,
Octobox.
Peter picks 5 people or 5 teams or 5 something or other to spotlight for us. And this week it's just 5 players that we should be paying close attention to as Week 9 continues this weekend. Take it away, Peter.
Jaden Daniels is number 5. Jaden Daniels, if they lose again, they have more losses than they had last year. Like, it is an insane thing that's happening with Washington based on expectations, yet Jaden will be back in the lineup starting in a Sunday night spot against the Seahawks. Can Jaden Daniels get this team and rise them above all of the injuries and all of the issues they have had? Number 4, I'm going with a player we were just talking about, Jonathan Taylor.
Steelers Nation, listen up. Once again, the national media is doubting us. And not just doubting, but flat out disrespecting the Pittsburgh Steelers. On ESPN this week, they said it loud and clear. People think they're paper champions. They can't beat anyone who can punch back. Paper champions? Are you kidding me? This is the 6-time Super Bowl franchise we're talking about. This is the team that built its legacy on grit, defense, and heart. And they're calling us paper champions? Let's talk about it. They mocked the Steelers' defense, saying it's the most expensive in the NFL, yet ranked near the bottom. They threw out stats like they were grenades. 360 yards allowed to Jordan Love, poor tackling, missed assignments, giving up 68 points in 2 games. They acted like this was a unit beyond saving. But here's the thing those analysts never understand. Pittsburgh doesn't stay down for long. The city doesn't quit, the locker room doesn't quit, and Coach Mike Tomlin sure as hell doesn't quit. The media loves the Ravens right now. Vegas loves them. The analytics like them. But that's exactly when the Steelers are at their most dangerous, when no one believes. When the spotlight shifts away, that's when the grind begins. You know it, I know it, the whole Steel City knows it. This team plays its best football when their backs are against the wall. Yes, this defense has been inconsistent. No one's denying that. There have been breakdowns, blown coverages, and a loss of rhythm that doesn't look like classic Pittsburgh football. But this is still a defense filled with pride. You think veterans in that locker room don't hear this talk? You think they're not fired up being called overrated on national TV? The more they talk, the more fuel they give. And that's when the Steelers turn from a team trying to find itself into a storm ready to hit. They said we can't beat anyone who can punch back. Let's rewind history for a second. That's what they said in 2023 when Pittsburgh started slow. That's what they said before the late season push that turned the narrative around. Every single time this franchise gets counted out, they find a way to fight back. The heart of this team is built on proving people wrong. Now let's talk about this week. Everyone's in love with the Indianapolis Colts, calling them the most balanced team in football. They compared them to the 1999 Rams and the 2019 Ravens, 2 of the most explosive teams ever. They went on and on about their rookie tight end, Tyler Warren, about Jonathan Taylor, about their balanced offense. But notice what happened at the end of that segment. One analyst finally spoke truth. He said, buy low, sell high. No one wants anything to do with Pittsburgh, but Mike Tomlin as a dog has been successful throughout his career. That right there is the line every Steeler fan needs to remember, because that's the DNA of Mike Tomlin's era. Resilience, preparation, and the ability to rally a locker room that's being written off. His teams thrive when people count them out. That's when the grit shows. That's when the city unites. And that's when Sunday football in Pittsburgh means something again. Let's be honest, this isn't the same roster from a few years ago. There's no Minkah Fitzpatrick, no Najee Harris. This is a retooled team built around veterans like Aaron Rodgers leading the offense, DK Metcalf stretching the field, and a defense trying to rediscover its identity. The growing pains are real, but that's part of what makes this chapter so powerful, because the Steelers aren't supposed to be perfect right now. They're supposed to evolve, adjust, and shock everyone when it matters most. Think about what this trade window could bring. Demario Davis, a veteran warrior who can anchor that linebacker unit and bring back discipline. Tariq Woolen, a young corner with elite length who can reset the secondary. Moves like these aren't about chasing headlines. They're about fixing culture, restoring physicality, and reminding the league that Pittsburgh is still where hard-nosed football lives. The national narrative might say the Ravens own the North, that the Bengals are lurking, that the Colts are the next big thing. But they said the same thing back when nobody believed in the 2005 Steelers either. You remember how that story ended. Confetti, Lombardi, redemption. The truth is this, the Steelers have been here before. Doubt is part of our identity. Every time the so-called experts write Pittsburgh off, they spark the same fire that built this dynasty in the first place. This isn't a franchise that folds because of bad rankings or ugly stat sheets. This is a franchise that lives off adversity. So Steelers Nation, here's the question. Are you ready to stand behind this team again? Because this is the moment when belief matters most. The Ravens may have the analytics, the Colts may have the hype, but Pittsburgh has heart, and that heart beats louder when it's underestimated. Let the outsiders talk about rankings and power metrics. Let them call us paper champions, because paper burns, but steel endures. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think this Steelers team will rise when everyone doubts them again? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that like button if you believe in Tomlin's crew, and if you're new here, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Wire, where we keep it real, raw, and loyal to the black and gold. Because this story isn't over, it's just getting started.